Hello and welcome to Keepin' It Country. I'm the co-host, Renee, of Keepin' It Country, and we'll see Donald here in just a little bit. He's going to entertain us with some music and bless our hearts, no doubt. But in the meantime, I'm going to share with you a couple stories about love and redemption. So our first story tonight is called The Firefly. So let's get started. Cozy up and enjoy the story. The Firefly. Cynthia and Mia loved being outdoors. Late in the evening, after dark, the two young sisters would stroll down to the end of their sleepy cul-de-sac, quietly talking or singing, listening to the breeze of the unseen oak leaves, gazing up at the ever-changing moon. Night was a place for dim lights and deeper feeling. In the darkness, they'd steal aboard the slow backyard swing to float among the infinite stars. Those beautiful nights were better than any dream. There it is again, Cynthia said. The firefly had returned. It seemed to show up every night an hour after sunset. The small light zigged and bobbed above the ghostly lawn. It disappeared behind the black shed, suddenly appeared right in front of the two sisters, who sat motionless on the swing. We should try catching it, said Mia. Why? We could bring it inside and use it for a nightlight. That's silly. No, I'm serious. You should never catch a firefly. You'll be cursed. Well, says who? Well, I don't know. It remained a very great mystery why there was always only one firefly. Cynthia and Mia watched the small lit flit here and there, here again, but always a shade beyond reach. Both young sisters understood that the small insect's ballet was not arbitrary. Wind-blown and indecisive, but not without purpose. The following night, the two sisters walked down the cul-de-sac looking for bats, but it was getting too dark, almost a new moon. After returning home, Mia couldn't resist her heart's desire. She darted into the kitchen through the screen door. A few minutes later, she plunged into the darkness, clutching an empty glass jar. She showed it to Cynthia on their swing. I'm going to catch the firefly. Okay. Why? Because I want my own lightning in a bottle. But a firefly is alive. If you catch it, you'll kill it. No, I won't. I'll punch air holes in the lid. The poor thing will starve. Just this one night. I don't want to hurt it. I'll take it back outside and let it go free in the morning. I promise. You're silly. Mia unscrewed the jar's lid and sat on the swing with her sister, quietly waiting. They could barely see one another. A trillion bright stars whirled above. Somewhere in the night, a lonely cat yowled. An owl hooted. The firefly appeared like magic. For a long while, the two watched the dim light swing through the air like a falling star. With a bound, she jumped up, clutching her jar, and raced beside the star. The firefly darted away. Oh, I almost got it, Mia laughed. Cynthia laughed with her. Mia chased and veered. A metal lid clapped on the glass. I got it, Mia shouted. Quiet, you'll wake everyone up. But look, I really caught it. Mia crossed the gray grass and quietly came up to Cynthia with the dark jar in hand. Look! Trapped at the bottom of the jar was a small, indistinct shape. The sisters put their noses to the glass to see better. The captured thing looked like nothing but a plain beetle. Are you sure that's a firefly? Asked Cynthia. I'm pretty sure. Well there, you're lightning in a bottle. I hope that makes you happy. Mia carried the jar into her bedroom. The firefly was in reality just a tiny, rather plain-looking beetle. It crawled awkwardly around the bottom of the confining glass jar, its chemical light off. Mia stared at the hobbling beetle for several minutes, then placed the jar on the corner of her nightstand. She switched off the bedroom light and lay on her back in bed. Her eyes were on the jar. The room was pitch black. Mia waited. Her eyes focused on the exact spot where the jar should be. She anticipated, hoped, held her breath, waiting and waiting. She wished for a star. She yearned for a rising star, a star of her own. But why wouldn't anything happen? It was merely a dull beetle. Out of the darkness, a soft light appeared before her. It grew slowly brighter, filling the room. The light intensified, enveloped her, blazed and shimmered, lifted her into a dazzling universe of infinite stars. The alarm clock jolted out of her dream. Sunlight streamed through the bedroom window. Mia sat up and looked at the jar on the nightstand. The beetle was dead. Mia stared at the dead thing. Somehow she stopped her flood of tears when she finally joined Cynthia for breakfast. Mother, as usual, was drunk and said nothing. The two young sisters headed out into the glaring daylight and trapped themselves in the school bus. "I told you you'd kill it," said Cynthia. The two sat motionlessly on their swing in the darkest of nights, a cold night with no moon and no firefly. The two sat outside anyway. Alone in blackness was better than nothing. "I told you, Cynthia, but you wouldn't listen. Why did you have to catch it? Why did you have to kill it? Now our one and only firefly is gone. There's nothing left. You murdered it." Mia said, "Stop it, shut up." The two sat motionless on the swing like twin dead planets in that cold black night. They didn't see the bright stars. They didn't look up. Cynthia broke the silence. "Now that the firefly is gone, what's the point of sitting here? I'm starting to freeze. Let's go back inside." "I don't want to go inside," protested Mia, thinking of their mother. "But there's no longer a reason to be here." "Well, I don't care." The sisters had nothing more to say. Each girl had reached a dead end. Inside and outside, nothing was possible but the suffocating emptiness. There was no place left in the world for either to go. Two hearts had died. They sat like gravestones into the night, a new moon night. Suddenly, in the cold blackness, a ghost light appeared. A light flitted in space before the two sisters. A firefly. It zigged and bobbed in front of the astonished eyes. Mia caught her breath. "Look, I don't believe it. There's another one." The tiny light had appeared from nowhere. A new firefly bobbed and danced, twirled and weaved, like living magic suddenly risen from a well of utter blackness. Where did it come from? Neither girl understood. Where on earth had it come from? The firefly was a spark from an unseen fire, moving mysteriously from silence to silence, from heart to heart. Cynthia turned on the swing to face Mia. "That was wrong what I said. It was mean. I promise I will never hurt you again." "I'm sorry too," replied Mia, "and I was wrong to kill it." Relief, freedom. The firefly danced, simply, brightly, and joyfully, and in two hearts, new life.
Seems like all I could see was the struggle, haunted by ghosts that lived in my past, bound up in shackles of all my failures. Then you look at this prisoner and say to me, "Child, stop fighting a fight that's already been won." And I am redeemed. You set me free. So I'll shake off these heavy chains and wipe away you're staying, 'cause I'm not who I used to be, 'cause I am redeemed. I'm redeemed. All my life I have been called unworthy, named by the voice of my shame and regret. But then I hear you whisper, child, lift up your head. I remember, oh God, you're not done with me yet. And I am redeemed. And you set me free. So I'll shake off these heavy chains, wipe away every stain, 'cause I'm not who I used to be. Because I don't have to be the old man inside of me, 'cause his day is long, dead and gone. Because I've got a new name, a new life, I'm not the same, and I hope that will carry me home. I am redeemed, and you set me free. So I'll shake off these heavy chains, wipe away every stain, 'cause I'm not who I used to be. I am redeemed, and you set me free. So I'll shake off these heavy chains, wipe away every stain, 'cause I'm not who I used to be. Oh God, I'm not who I used to be. Thank God I'm not who I used to be, 'cause I am redeemed. I'm redeemed. Thank God, redeemed. Amen.
Good evening and welcome back to Keeping It Country. I'm Donald Cobbs, and I had the privilege and pleasure of sitting back and listening to my co-host, Renee Dull, who shared a blessing with you that I know blessed me. Tonight I'm wearing pink, as you can see. It's in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness, which happens next month in October. And so I'm hoping that each one of you will begin now to plan on how you can possibly help. I'd like to thank you for joining us once again, and thank you for keeping it country. And so now I'm going to bring a selection to you myself. It involves a few questions. How in this world can we put a man on the moon and still have a need for a place like St. Jude's? How can a man be born in a place where all you know is war and hate, and a guy like me has always been free? How can two people build a loving home? They're trying for years and never have a child of their own. When somewhere out there tonight there's a baby no one's holding tight, in need of love, you know that don't add up. 'Cause I wasn't there the day day that you filled up the oceans. I didn't get to see you hang the stars in the sky, but I don't mean to second guess you or criticize what I don't understand. But these are just a few questions I have. Why did my cousin have to die in that crash? A good kid, only 17, I still wonder about that. It seems so unfair to me. Some get the chance to chase their dreams and some don't. But what do I know? 'Cause I wasn't there the day that you filled up the oceans. I didn't get to see you hang the stars in the sky, but I don't mean to second guess you or criticize what I don't understand. But these are just a few questions I have. And why do I feel like you're hearing these prayers of mine when so many ought to be ahead of me in line? But when you look down on me, can you see the good through all the bad? These are just a few questions I have. A few questions that I have. A few questions that I have.
Another story about love. A man married a beautiful girl. He loved her very much. One day she developed a skin disease. Slowly, she started to lose her beauty. It so happened that one day her husband left for a tour. While returning, he met with an accident, and he lost his eyesight. However, their married life continued as usual. But as the days passed, she lost her beauty gradually. Blind husband did not know this, and there was not any difference in their married life. He continued to love her, and she also loved him very much. One day she died. Her death brought him great sorrow. He finished all her last rites and wanted to leave the town. A man from behind him called and said, "Now how will you be able to walk all alone? All these days your wife has helped you." He replied, "I'm not blind. I was acting because if she knew I could see her skin disease condition due to a disease, it would have pained her more than the disease itself. I didn't love her for her beauty alone, but I fell in love with her caring and loving nature. So I pretended to be blind. I only wanted to keep her happy." The moral is, when you truly love someone, you will go to great extent to keep your loved one happy. And sometimes it's good for us to act blind and ignore one another's shortcomings in order to be happy. The beauty will fade with time, but the heart and soul will always be the same. Love the person for what she is, or he is, from the inside, not the outside. And isn't that just how it is with God's love? He loves us so unconditionally that he overlooks every flaw. And there are so many in me, and yet he made a way for us to have a loving and personal relationship with him. What love is this that he should overlook so much? It's more than we could ever hope for or imagine, and he's all we need.
You never change. You are the God you say you are. When I'm afraid, you calm and still my beating heart. You stay the same. When hope is just a distant thought, you take my shame. And you lead me to the cross. What love is this that you gave your life for me and made a way for me to know you? And I confess you're always enough for me. You're all I need. I look to you. I see the scars upon your hands and hold the truth that when I can't, you always can. And I'm standing here beneath the shadow of the cross. I'm overwhelmed that I keep finding open arms. What love is this that you gave your life for me and made a way for me to know you? And I confess you're always enough for me. You're all I need. Jesus, in your suffering, you were reaching and thought of me. Jesus, in your suffering, you were reaching and thought of me. What love is this that you gave your life for me and made a way for me to know you? And I confess you're always enough for me. You're all I need. What love is this that you gave your life for me and made a way for me to know you? And I confess you're always enough for me. You're always enough for me. Enough for me.
Good evening, and welcome back to Keeping It Country. As you know, I'm Donald Cobbs, and we hear a lot of controversy today about this country, but I still know for a fact that with all the controversy, this is still the greatest nation on the face of the earth. So we should all set our differences aside and realize that we need to ask God to continue blessing the USA. God bless the USA. If tomorrow all the things were gone I had worked for all my life, and I had to start all over with just my children and my wife, I thank the Lord above for living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. From the hills of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and from New York to LA. Oh, there's a pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, thank you for joining us this evening for another really great program of Keeping It Country. Keeping It Country also means not only supporting this country, but supporting each other. And so please, set aside your differences, share some love, and I guarantee you that you will find some common ground. Be blessed and share the blessings. Until next time, this is Donald Cobbs for Keeping It Country. Good night.
You take care, and we will see you again soon.